that's what we're going to do for the balance portion. So come to a comfortable spot on your mat. Get your feet about hip width apart. I don't care what your orientation is. You can be turned towards me or whatever. It doesn't matter. But from here, get into Tadasana. And all of you know how to come into Tadasana. But pay close attention and spread your toes wide, lift them, and then place them back down so that you're kind of gripping the floor or the mat with your toes. From there, lift your sternum high. And what we're going to start with is Utkatasana, chair pose. And that will get right into your quads. So on an inhale, drop your seat like you're about to sit into a chair, then rotate your arms forward and then up. Now, if you're like me, you're probably pushing your butt out, but tuck your tailbone under and see how much longer your spine gets. And actually, you can lift your hands higher. Now, we're not going to stay here for more than another 45 seconds. Not really. But anyway, this is just awakening your quads, stretching your spine. You can begin to feel this in your ankles. And then on an inhale, rise all the way back up. Bring your palms together and then lower them to Samastitihi. And then Tadasana again. Okay, so I'd like to start kind of the same way that we've done a lot, but get your blocks in whatever way you're comfortable in front of you so that you can just bend over and just touch the tops of your blocks. They can be tall, they can be flat. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, and get those in front of you so that when you pull forward, you can touch those. So, back to Tadasana. Bring your weight into your left foot. Lift your right knee. And just pause here for just a moment. Notice how that left ankle is. It's probably moving all around, trying to get its bearings. And then bend that knee and bring that ankle across the front of your thigh. You want to in front of a window or in front of the wall, so you have to spread out. From here, maybe you can lower that right knee a little bit more. And if you fall out of this, that's fine. And then maybe you can begin to fold forward and don't push this too much. Maybe you can fold forward, come all the way down on your blocks. And then come back up and step that out. We'll try that with the left leg. So back to Tadasana. Lift your left knee up. And just notice how that ankle is going to work today. My left leg is normally much more stable than my right. Today, it feels like my right is better. Can never tell. And then bring that left ankle over your right thigh, kind of like a gentleman sitting. And these asymmetric poses, balance poses, are developing neuroplasticity, creating new connections in your brain. And if you'd like, you can try to fold forward. And then inhale, rise all the way up. And then step that out. Okay, why don't you get right in front of this, or no, you just move over right in front of the middle here. And you come over, because you're going to be up against the wall. And you can come right up here. We can't do this with, we can do this with 20 people in this room. So that's why I selected that for today. Okay, back to Tadasana. Bring the weight into your left foot again. Lift your right knee up. Bring it across your left thigh again. And then begin to sit back like a gentleman sitting. Maybe it will help if your palms are together, maybe not. Tuck your tailbone under. Try to lift your spine. And if you fall out, that's okay. Inhale, come all the way back up. Step that up. Weight into your right foot. Bring that left knee up. Bring the ankle across your thigh. And then sit back. And this is your fascia working. Rise back up and then step that out. Your fascia reacts way faster than your brain can. And so your fascia is sending signals to its adjacent cells, and they're making the adjustments, telling your muscles to contract or loosen up. That's where you get all the jiggles. Your brain can't work that fast. Okay, so you can put the blocks off to the side. I'm going to do another here that you'll enjoy equally. Weight into your left foot. Lift your right foot up just an inch. And then lean forward a little bit. That right leg comes back behind you. And then begin to bring it off to the left. Kind of like you're doing a curtsy bow. You can bring it way over. That may make this a little bit easier. Try to keep your spine straight. Lower your hips. Let your quads do the work. And inhale, rise back up. Step that out. Weight into your right foot. Lift your left up. Bring it behind your right foot. Maybe way out to the right. Lower down. First time I did this pose was when I was watching an Olympic speed skater when we lived in Minnesota. Bonnie someone.
Bonnie Blair.
Bonnie Blair, right. This was her pose. And inhale, rise all the way up. Just step that out. Okay, now grab one of your blocks. This is because some of you didn't bring a ball. This will be really easy. Much easier than a block. Okay, back to Tadasana. Bring your weight into your left foot. Lift your right knee up. And then take that block and toss it to the other hand. I get $1 for every time it hits the floor. Okay, don't get out of the pose yet. Now, take the block, reach forward, then bring that block all the way behind you. Transfer it, and come back to the front. Do that again. We good on that? Okay, good. Step that out. One more time. Weight into your right foot. Lift your left leg up. Now toss the block to the other hand. I should have people opposite each other and throw it to each other. Okay? Block in one hand and way out in front. And bring that around behind. Transfer. Go back. Forward. And then release. One of the yogis who goes to the Wednesday class suggested when you brush your teeth on one leg. You're supposed to brush your teeth for about 2 minutes. So if you do that, you know, it's kind of like being Jerry Ford, right? Chewing gum and walking. But it is a challenge, and that will help your balance. Okay, now the poses that everybody wants to do. So, say your block's up against the wall. Make sure there's no bubble in your mat right there. Just want to make sure the whole mat is shown. You have to stand up. Okay, we're going to do a yoga squat with your back against the wall. Now, I apologize for this chair rail. They wouldn't take it down for me. But to get situated properly, maybe have your heels 4 inches or so in front of the block. And then, now, if you can just come right on down, that's fine. If you have to sit down and then, you know, lift your hips up and get back onto the block, that's fine too. But I want your back to be straight. So you may have to adjust your foot locations. And don't worry about pushing your knees apart, but try to get a bit of a stretch in your groins. So this will stretch out your ankles. It will stretch your groins. This is stretching your quads and your spine. Allow your eyes to close and take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale it out through your nose. Again, through your nose. Exhale it out through your nose. And let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. Now, if you wish, you can have your hands on your knees. You can have your hands down by your side. You can have your hands at heart center. Whatever works for you. But allow your shoulder blades to soften and feel the wall against the lower part of your spine, in your thoracic spine. I think we're all suffering from that chair rail right at the back of our heads. But breathe in and out through your nose. Notice where you feel this. Be an objective observer here. Become a witness for what your body is doing with no judgment. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, open your eyes. And to get out of this, all you have to do maybe is lean one direction and move a foot, an inch or so. And then come all the way down onto the mat. Bring your hands behind your hips. Bring your footprints on the mat. They can be together, they can be wide. And then observe your hips and begin to reach your wiper. These are your hip flexors that are gaining some added motion here. And the next time you come to center, pause. Okay, now we're going to go up the wall. And the best way I know to get up the wall is to just turn 90 degrees and get your sit bones on the edge of the mat. And after I get into each one of these poses, I'll come around and help any of you who need it. But your shoulder is up against the wall, and your hip is up against the wall. And from here, once you do this the first or second time, it becomes much easier. But begin to lower your left shoulder down and raise your feet up at the same time. And then from here, scoot your hips in towards the wall so that your sit bones are on the wall. The first pose here is caterpillar. So your feet are roughly hip width apart. Your arms can be out by your side. It can be resting on your belly. Push your heels away. And then just relax. Again, observe. You're stretching your hamstrings here. That's what you were stretching when you pushed your heels up. Your spine is straight and long. I hope you can feel your lower lumbar spine fully in contact with your mat. Maybe lift your head a half an inch, tuck your chin, place your head back down. Allow your eyes to close and turn inside. Maybe you can feel the blood draining from your legs. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, begin walking your feet back down and cross your ankles. So it's like you're coming into Utkatasana or a seated pose where your knees are bent and coming out wide. Now take your hands and place one hand at the middle of each thigh and gently push your thighs towards the wall. That should feel pretty good. And your hip flexors, just having your legs bent is nice for your quads and for your hamstrings. And then release. Walk your feet back up. And then just like we were doing before in balance, cross your left ankle over the top of your right thigh. Now, your hip here can be right on the wall. You can create a little bit more space. The most important thing is to have your back straight. So make sure that happens. You don't want your spine to round. This is a version of swan, sleeping swan. So the target is going to be your right glutes and your right hip crease, or your right hip socket. So begin to draw your right heel down. And you may find that all you have to do is bring it down a few inches and it becomes a real serious pose. Now, if it comes down too far, maybe you have to scooch your spine or scooch back away from the wall. But still, remember your target is, I'm sorry, it's your left thigh, your left glute. Now there's a little trick here. If you'd like to move this glute sensation around, if you walk that right foot off to the left, you can feel this more on your gluteus maximus, the part of your glute that is closer to your spine. And if you want to go the other direction, out towards your hip socket, walk that foot out to the right. Now your hands are available to feel your glutes on the outside. And find the perfect position for you. Your left knee should not have any sensation at all. If your knee hurts, back up, change pose. The worst thing that you can do is hurt yourself. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, begin to push that left foot back up towards the ceiling. Stretch your heels away. Wave your feet by rotating off of your heel, left and right. That rotates your femurs and your hip sockets. When you come to center, pause. Now I think I moved everybody's strap close by so you can reach it. Bend your left knee and bring the strap over the ball of your left foot. Grab the outsides or the ends of that strap with each hand and push your heel up towards the ceiling, away from the wall, as you draw your leg back down into your left hip socket. And then carefully change the bind into just your left hand. Turn that left foot out about 15 degrees. And then allow that foot to just reach the wall. And then slowly take 4 or 5 breaths and let that leg stretch out to the left, just coming down the wall or creating a circle with your heel. The wall in my studio, you can see where my dirty foot was. And you don't want that leg to get all the way down to the floor, but you want to maintain the tension. And notice the tension in your right leg. You can rest your left elbow on the mat so that you're not working so hard. And this is stretching your hip flexors and your adductors, those muscles that draw your legs together. That would include your piriformis and your psoas. And your groins. Try to keep your right hip down on the mat. Now, if this becomes a little too easy, you can always increase the tension on the strap. But you still want to get your muscles to relax, because that's when the magic works. That's when the tension from the pose gets transferred into the fascia, stimulating growth there. Your hip flexors are the second largest muscle group in your body. And they hold a lot of tension and stress. And whenever you can release them or relax them, it calms your nervous system. Begin to deepen your breath. Over the next several breaths, bring that left leg all the way back up to meet the right. And then keeping some tension in that strap. Begin to bend your left knee. Release the bind. Set the strap aside. Draw that knee into your chest and give yourself a squeeze. Now bring that right knee down to join. And rock from left to right. Your feet may be brushing the wall, which is what you want. And the next time you come over towards your right side, go all the way over into fetal pose with both soles on the wall. Now, if you have to adjust your hip locations, that's fine. We're coming into spinal twist now. So we have options. From here, if you'd like to straighten out that left leg towards the sidewall, go right ahead. You get an IT band stretch that's significantly different than the one you were just doing. And then lift that left arm up towards the ceiling and rotate it towards the other wall. Your gaze can be off towards your left hand. If your left shoulder doesn't come all the way down to the mat, that's okay. This is a twist. You can always bring a hand on top of that right knee to help keep that down. A twist is defined as the angle between your hips and your shoulders. And since your hips are right on the wall, your shoulders tell you exactly how far you've gone. Feel that stretch across your left shoulder, your left pecs. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your left arm back to meet the right. Now comes the easy part of elegantly coming up into table, facing away from the wall. And when you get situated, maybe start with your feet right at the wall, but then come forward maybe about 8 inches and do some cat-cows here. And these forward and back bends should make your spine feel really nice. Every inhale, your belly drops, your chest comes forward, your sit bones lift and separate. And exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone, and chin comes to chest. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, bring your right arm out to the side, horizontal, and then lift up in the air. You're getting ready for spine or thread the needle. And then exhale, bring that right hand behind the left wrist, way off to the right, coming down onto your shoulder, maybe your cheek. Now, possibly, you want to lift that left leg up, and maybe it will rest on the wall. You'll find that it's a little bit different in this pose. If you're too close, your leg goes up really high, but that's okay. And if you're too far away, you're really reaching. Maybe you want to walk that left hand forward, opening up that armpit, opening up that left shoulder with a huge extension. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your foot down. And push the floor away, release your right arm out and up. Lower it back down. Do a couple more cat-cows. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, walk your hands forward and your feet back, coming all the way down onto your belly. Your toes should be a little bit away from the wall. Come up onto your elbows, coming into Sphinx. So your elbows are underneath your shoulders, and lift your chest high, lift your shoulders high. Your gaze is down between your hands. Your palms are on the mat. Now, I normally do this as part Yang, which is strength building, and part Yin. We'll start with the Yang for just a moment. So from here, push your toenails into the mat, lifting your knees. Isometrically drag your elbows towards your hips. Your gaze is still between your hands. Identify those muscles that are working, and then relax. Soften those ankles. Soften your thighs, your glutes, your lower back. Feel your belly pushing against the floor. And then allow your head to just bow forward. And see if you can identify exactly where your back bend is greatest. Maybe you can identify the exact vertebra. The only muscles that are working are those stability muscles in your shoulders. Just to keep you vertical. And then on your next exhale, release. Hold your arms. Use your forearms as a pillow. Bring your right knee up towards your right elbow. Rest here for a moment. Giving your back a little bit of relief. And then on your next inhale, return that right leg back to meet the left. Bring your hands or bring your elbows back underneath your shoulders. And we're going to have another option. You can spread your legs really wide if you wish. That's not important. If you would rather not, that's fine. The other option is if you want to do seal, which is quite a bit more strain on your back, you can move your hands out a little bit wider and a little bit farther in front. And inhale, lift up. If you're doing seal, if you're doing Sphinx, just begin to soften. And if you're doing seal, the only parts of you that are really working, again, are the stability muscles in your arms and shoulders. Your pubic bone is pushing into the mat. Your thighs are down. The intensity will grow with time. So when it's time for you to relax and just fold your arms, go right ahead. Allow your head to bow forward. Maybe move it around, make little circles on the floor with your nose. Making sure that your cervical spine is not overstressed. And then release all the way down. Use your forearms again, resting your head. Bend your left knee and bring it up towards your left elbow. Notice how your body helps you recover in these counter poses. On your next inhale, bring your left leg back to meet the right. Bring your hands next to your chest. Push the floor away, come back up into table. Do a couple of cat-cows. And the next time you come to center pause, from here, lift your left arm out, horizontal, And then up towards the ceiling. And exhale, thread the needle, left hand going way out to the right side of your mat. Coming down on your left shoulder. And maybe your foot comes up on the wall again, maybe not. It really doesn't matter. If the wall's too far, you can keep your foot on the floor. Maybe you want to bend that right elbow and bring that arm behind your back. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, lower your knee. Bring that right hand next to your face again. And on an inhale, retrieve that left arm out and up. And then back to table. Do a couple more cat-cows. The next time you come to center, pause. From here, we're going back onto the wall. So again, do it the way that you'd like. You can try the other side if that makes sense. But again, you want your legs to be parallel with the wall. Your sit bones right at the edge of your mat. Your hip and shoulder against the wall, and then just kind of fold towards your mat, lifting your feet. Then use your elbows to walk your hips forward. Push your heels away. We're going to be doing right swan this time. So bend your right knee. Bring that right ankle over the top of the left thigh. Whatever amount is best for you. And then begin to lower that left knee or the left heel down the wall. And this side may be radically different from the other. But you want to make sure that there's no pain in that knee. This is not a pose to loosen up that knee. Now feel your right glute. Where is that tension going? Your maximus is closer to your spine and your sacrum. And the medius is out towards the outside of your hip. And again, you can either bend that left knee towards the left, And you can change where you feel this, or you can walk that foot out to the left. Each will do something similar, but it's a different intensity. Find what's good for you. Make sure that your spine is on the mat. Soften your belly here. If some part of your body is not relaxing, not softening, the good thing about a wall class is that your hands are generally free to roam. And if you touch those muscles, they will respond. They work for you. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, release that right leg and bring it back up towards the ceiling. Push your heels away. Maybe rotate your feet again from left to right. And find your strap. And then bend your right knee. Bring the strap across the ball of your foot. And step up onto the ceiling. Now you may have moved your hips away from the wall. Now would be a good time to scooch your hips back. We'll make this pose a little more effective. And then carefully change your bind into just your right hand. Turn that foot out some degree. And then leaving the left leg where it is, slowly rotate that right foot out and down with your leg straight. And you may not come down very far. Keep your left hip down. And when you come to where your body wants you to pause, show some compassion and pause. Maybe push your heel away and change the pose a little bit. You can always rest your elbow. Observe what's happening in your right hip. This is your right hip flexor, the iliacus, that is being stretched. That's the muscle that is attached to the inside of your right wing of your pelvis. It comes down over the front of your pelvis and attaches to the top of your femur. The way it works is not very elegant. Maybe you can feel it softening. Maybe you can feel the adjacent muscles picking up tension as your flexor heals and gives up some of that tension. Breathe into that sensation. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, slowly begin to raise that leg back up. Notice how your left leg responds. And when you get up onto the ceiling again, keeping tension in that right knee, bring it into your chest, get rid of the strap, draw that knee in and give yourself a squeeze. Draw your left knee into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. Maybe cross your ankles and rock from left to right. The next time you come to center, pause for just a moment with your ankles parallel, maybe not crossed. Allow your knees to draw closer to the wall. And again, push the middle of your thigh, each thigh towards the wall. That will open up all of your hip flexors. And then release. Draw your knees back into your chest. Your footprints on the wall. Rock again, left to right. And then this time, coming all the way over onto your left side. Use your arm as a pillow to come into fetal pose. And again, you have the same options. You can straighten out that right leg and get a nice IT band stretch. Or leave your knee bent, that's okay. And then when you're ready, raise that right arm up towards the ceiling. Rotate all the way towards the wall behind you. Maybe you can gaze off towards that hand. But if your neck doesn't allow it, don't do it. You can always move your head an inch or so to the right to give yourself a little bit more space. You can use that left hand to hold that right knee down. Maybe you can even feel your obliques, those muscles on your front body that go from your pelvis up to your rib cage. Maybe you can feel those stretching. The spinal twist against the wall, I think, is the most effective. Maybe use your breath to breathe into your right side body, starting at the bottom or the top and going the opposite direction. Creating just a little bit more space in between your ribs, stretching your intercostal muscles, hold your ribs together. Soften your glutes. Soften your belly. Soften your jaw. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your right arm back to meet the left. The next pose is Shavasana. So you can choose to do a conventional Shavasana, or you can just simply roll back up onto the wall. Your legs can be straight and going up. You can be out wide in dragonfly. You can be a butterfly with the soles of your feet together. Whatever is best for you right this moment. Allow your eyes to close. Your arms can be back by your side. It can be resting on your knees. Wherever will serve you best. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose. Exhale it out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath into your nose, out through your nose, and take rest. Observe how your body is relaxing here. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes, to your wrists, and to your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. When you're ready, walk your feet towards your sit bones and maybe do some windshield wipers or draw your knees into your chest. Massaging your spine. And then coming all the way over onto your right side. Pause there for a moment in fetal pose. Do a scan of your body to determine if you still have tension or stress lurking in your tissues, so that you can address it later this week. And then using the strength in your left hand, push the floor away. Rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this afternoon. Thank you for taking such good care of your bodies and your mind and your breath through the practice of yoga. Take the peace and compassion and empathy that you practice each time you step on your mat with you everywhere you go, and share it with your family, your friends, and each person you may be. Namaste. My name is Clint, and this has been Yin Yoga. Thank you for coming.